Welcome back to Let's Not Sugarcoat It. Season 3 is here and we're excited to dive into the core of communication, relationships, and leadership.
We're your hosts, Bella and Lee, a husband and wife duo with a successful business helping couples and organizations get it together to play a bigger game and elevate their relationships and performance.
We believe in keeping it real, so each week we'll bring you incredible guests, entrepreneurs sharing their authentic experiences, along with episodes featuring just the two of us tackling the tough topics.
So, if you're ready to enhance your connections and sharpen your leadership skills, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
All
right. Well, thanks for joining us here today, Jordan. Jordan powers a magnetic voice in pop culture with a proven track record of grabbing attention and never letting go. He built the world's first cardboard beach, co-hosted a hit podcast that sold out live shows, and had his face splashed on a billboard in downtown Toronto. His storytelling has sparked millions of views and more than 50 TV and radio appearances. After a successful run as a media producer, syndicated columnist, and internet entrepreneur, Jordan took an unexpected left turn into music. With zero musical background, he walked into a recording studio for the first time in early 2024. Less than a year later, his songs have been streamed over 4 million times and played on more than 50 radio stations around the world. He's grown to over 130,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, all without a PR team. Now he's building a cultural brand that merges music, comedy, and content into something bold, smart, and deeply entertaining.
Welcome, Jordan.
Welcome.
Yeah. Wow.
Thanks for having me on. Wow. I was listening to that. I'm like, who's that guy? He sounds great. He sounds even better than me. I love the PR spin on it. It's nice.
I can tell there was a couple points there. Now I know why Bella wanted me to read it instead of her. There's a few tongue twisters in there for the Ponglish, I think.
The Ponglish, English is my third language, so and English is a hard, Lyco rice, licorice. You guys, as immigrants, we will read it as Lyco rice, not licorice.
Yeah.
But anyways,
honestly, your English is better than some of my friends who were born in Canada. So
So tell us a little bit more about the Jordan train. I mean, holy man, it's 2025, and this all happened in a short year. So what sparked? Where did you come from? Because we gave you gave us a nice little PR, spot on, bio. Mm-hmm. But where did you come from?
So I was born in Hamilton, Ontario, so 45 minutes out of Toronto. I was born under a different name. This is my stage name. My birth name is Jordan Whalen, and I started as a media producer in News Talk 1010 Radio in Toronto, which was the biggest talk station. I used to work with a guy named Mike Bullard. I don't know if that name rings a bell. And I worked in radio, television, newspapers, and then I ended up starting a media agency called Grey Smoke Media, and built the largest law firm in Canada, Diamond and Diamond, and did a bunch of crazy things, but I kept searching for my purpose on earth. And you think after podcasting and Cardboard Beach and the things you guys mentioned, you think I'd be kind of exhausted, but was just this hole inside of me that was reaching out and trying to figure out, there's something else going on. I don't know what it is. And last year, my dog passed away, and I went on a little journey to Asia. I went to Thailand, which is my favorite place, and I ended up in Bali. And I went to a place in Ubud and met a woman in a tent, and her name was Dina. And at this point, I'm completely unconscious. I don't believe in anything. Just kind of had just a natural aversion to religion, spirituality. And I walked into this tent, and the woman said to me, "Oh, you're here about the music." And at this point, I hadn't made music. I hadn't really done anything. I had a little bit of an interest in it, but nothing crazy. And she said to me, "Oh yeah, you were a musician in your past life, and you killed yourself because you couldn't handle the fame. And so you've come back to make it right." And I'm thinking, is she on drugs or something? I just completely was
Probably
had
on mushrooms.
yeah. And she said to me, "No, this is the reason you've done it, but you had to do it now. You had to go through all these different things. You had to have trauma and stories and expansion and growth to come to this point to make music." And so I spent about a week doing some of the craziest things you can imagine. sound healing and dancing and talking to my 7-year-old self. And I just opened my heart and my mind, and I just kind of was
Yeah.
like, you know what? Let me go for it. What could I have to lose? And after about a week, it was like my brain cracked open, and I started just having a connection to something bigger than me, my higher
Mm.
self, God, universe, whatever people want to refer to it as. And I'm a huge nerd, autodidact. That's how I was able to do all those things in my life. I just kind of take something by the horns and find a way to quickly learn about it and grow and roll it out. And flew back to Canada where I lived in Toronto at the time. And I told my mom, I said, I think I'm about to make an album. And my mom's looking at me like, are you also on drugs? Like just completely like, what's going on? This is, are you okay? And I said, no, no, I don't know. I feel like I found my purpose. I found my reason on earth. And about 3 weeks later, I contacted a producer that I was working with, and I said, hey, in 3 weeks, let's make a little EP album, and let's try to figure out how to do this. I don't even know if I can sing. I don't know if I can songwrite, but I just felt this like intense intuition in my heart that kept
Mm-hmm.
expanding, and I'd have these premonitions when I was sleeping. um, Little downloads would come to me during the day, and so I went home and we got the first song. We were working on the production. I was sitting on my couch, and it was the first time in my life something just came over me. It was like I was completely out of body,
Mm.
and I ended up writing the first song in about 20 minutes. But when I say writing, it was like downloading.
Mm-hmm.
People call it automatic writing. There's different terms around it, but basically, I wasn't typing on my keyboard. It was me as the
Yeah.
character Jordan, but something had come through me, an energy, and I just kept typing and I just kept singing the melodies, and it was like almost like Bashar. I don't know if you guys have
Mm.
seen Bashar on YouTube, but something was just coming over me. I was shaking, I was sweating, and I wrote the first song in 20 minutes. And then I got into the studio with the producer. And the craziest thing is, the second I walked into the studio, I'd never been in a recording studio, never produced a song, never saw how a song came together. There was a weird deja vu, and I
Mm.
kept thinking of Dina saying, like, oh, you've done this before, like, you know what to
Yeah.
do. And I got in there, I was producing, I was doing harmonies, I was compiling the song. And within 3 weeks, I had essentially made 5 songs, released it. First month, like 400 listeners. And then by the fall, it quickly had expanded to 90,000, 100,000, 130,000. And I think I'm up to like 5 million streams. And in
Mm.
this year period, I've released 21 songs. I've just kept
Wow.
going.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. I know when you mentioned the deja vu thing, Bella and I always talk about like deja vu means for us a lot of it what it means is like you're meant to be here, right?
You're
It's
on the
kind
Hmm.
of
path. You've been
right.
here, or this is where you're meant to be. Once we stopped having those deja vus, we're like, let's see if there's any alignment that we're not aligning with. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
if there's been a while where
yeah,
deja vu hasn't happened,
yeah,
it's usually an indicator that okay, maybe we've gotten too much
lost.
into maintenance mode and we're
Yeah.
not,
Oh my God,
chasing.
things. Okay, I have
Yeah.
small ears. Okay, you guys forgive me.
Yeah,
You're forgiven.
it's general like, if you think of time not being linear, you think of everything happening now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes you're getting nudges from your future self, your past self, um, prior lives and stuff like that. And I think that's what the deja vus are. And for me, it just felt so natural to make the music. It just felt natural also to just keep throwing tens of thousands of dollars at this, just because it just felt like nothing had ever lit me up like that. I'd been
Yeah.
on TV and radio and I'd done all these cool things, but nothing had really made me feel like, God, if I won the lottery tomorrow and I got $100 million, I would still do exactly this every day. And
Hmm.
so it was amazing. It was amazing to finally be on this like, this feverish looking for my purpose and going through all these different things and just being like, oh my God, there's a peace and a tranquility. And like, I found it and I found why
Mm-hmm.
I'm here and it's beautiful. And so I've just been going for it, and I'm still I'm still working on 3 new songs right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was there so this season of let's not sugarcoat it is really focused on communication and relationships, because relationships are the foundation to accomplishment, right? the smaller the relationship, if it's not very deep, not broad, then what you can accomplish with those relationships is very restricted. But you build out those relationships and they become very deep, very, very broad, then, I mean, what you can accomplish with those relationships start to become like huge amount of possibility. And the foundation of relationships is communication. So, you know, what has been a part of that journey? Like, it's great to hear where, you know, you've walked into this tent and then everything just started to kind of happen. But I'm sure that road to get to that point to here hasn't quite been, you know, maybe as easy as it has
Or
sounded.
maybe it has been easy. It's just how you speak into your words into existence has changed. So has your communication of what you want has changed, or are you continuously doing the same thing over and over and it's working for you?
No, I mean I'm nothing like the person I used to be. I mean, I was a destructive person in my 20s. I spent 18 years of my life with a disease called ulcerative colitis. I was in and out of the hospital for a large portion of my life. And I didn't treat myself well. I didn't treat others well. I didn't see the best in people. Um, in terms of communication, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything about myself. I was a self-destructive human being. I had a father that left early in my life. I lost a lot of best friends. Very, very grueling existence, very difficult life. And I try not to talk about my past too much because in spirituality, we learn that basically those are just imaginal acts in the past. And if you constantly talk about them and recreate them, you will draw that energy towards you. And so I try not to kind of lean on it too much, but it's still there, obviously embedded in my ego. But I wasn't a great person in my 20s, and a lot of that was being sick, a lot of that was being bitter, a lot of that was having a difficult childhood. But you know, silver lining in all this is I wouldn't have done the things I've done if I didn't have this pain, if I didn't have these things to work through, if I didn't have this drive and motivation. And I'm really proud of the person that I've become. But you know, the interesting thing when talking about communication, talking about the people that came into my life, when I found my purpose, it was like I was no longer reaching outside myself into, let's say, the hologram, the simulation, the reality. I was no longer reaching outside myself. Things came to me, things appeared perfectly. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really when you know you're on the path, because when I started making the music, it was like I met this producer at the right time, this engineer at the right time, this songwriter at the right time. Everything laid out perfectly. Where in the past, when I was doing things where I wasn't meant to do them, they weren't my highest purpose, I was constantly forcing and constricting, and I was like trying to make it happen out there. And it still works when you go matter to matter, like Joe Dispenza
Yeah.
talks about. But when you're aligned, things easily come into your life, and
Yeah.
that's what I've been searching for, is that easy alignment.
Yeah.
Especially with wealth creation, you talk about, like, when I do coaching with my clients, it's like there's so much more than just reaching out there and grinding, the hustle and grind culture. It's about alignment, it's about frequency.
Yeah, it's like Lee and I went on a kind of journey together. We had a breakdown in our relationship, our communication. And then once we kind of stepped into our own power and let go of all the crap, all the distractions, all the things that I hate this, like not, that are not serving me, la da da da. But it's actually true, you know, because it's become like this
Yeah.
buzzword, right? Like let go of the things that are not serving you. But really, like a lot of people don't know how to. They're still, like you said, they're leaning in into their past and bringing that stuff into the present. And they're like, well, things aren't going the way they're supposed to. It's like, well, yeah, because you're focusing your energy on something that, you know, is not serving you. Speak into existence the things that you want. Your energy shifts, your vibrations, you know, go up, and you attract those people into your life, and you lose those people that do not are not meant to be in your space. So I love what you're saying there, Jordan, about, you know, just like things come much easier, things become more smoother where your energy is supposed to be flowing. When you listen to your intuition, we are like in this culture of hustle and the grind and working for the man, and, you know, just like not for our own. We're chasing the wrong things. There's no fulfillment. There's no purpose. There's no passion. It's like, oh, I need to make money. I need to take care of the kids. I like all this stuff. We're not taught at a young age to listen to our
Intuition.
intuition,
Yeah.
And your
listen to
heart,
ourselves.
Your heart center
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really your
Yes.
tuner. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people go here instead of here. And
Mm-hmm.
this knows what it wants. This is our source energy flowing through us. So a lot of people are in the head, and the head is the ego, the head is the past stories, the head is the patterns. And like we'll say this is uncomfortable for a lot of people to hear, but a lot of people are almost addicted to their old way of being. They're
Mm-hmm.
addicted to the stress chemicals, the cortisol. They're almost addicted to this old character, and there's a comfort in being that old character, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
painful and it's destructive. There's
Yes.
a comfort
Yeah.
in it. You're like, I am this person. I'm the one who struggles, and my ego is built on, I mean, that was
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm the guy who's been through hell in life, but still survives. Look at me. And it's like, none of that matters. And if you continue to tell that story on a manifestation level, in manifestation, where you place your attention is where you start
Mm-hmm.
to move to that reality. And so if you tell that story over and over, you won't shift your awareness, you won't shift your state of being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Our inner dialogue always becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so we always talk about how if you've got, even if you're that person where it's like, okay, maybe if you really look at it, maybe 80% of your life sucks, but 20% is good. You focus on that 20%, and that will start to shift that inner dialogue, your neural pathways, all of that stuff, and then all of a sudden you start to find things start
Mm-hmm.
aligning, right?
Yeah.
Whether you call it manifestation or omens or whatever it is, you will find those things. And I also love what you say about how the addiction piece, and another phrase for it too is just our brains are wired in a way to keep us safe, and how it keeps us safe is to keep us comfortable. And so even when we have bad habits, bad relationships in our life, and we know intellectually that breaking those habits or getting rid of shedding those relationships are good for us, if you haven't experienced it before on what it's like to shed those bad habits and those bad relationships and experience what it's like to be without them and attract new relationships, then the brain will create this sense of like anxiety and unease when you get close to wanting to break those habits or get rid of those relationships, because
Mhm.
that's the unknown, it's the unpredictable, which has people stay even in crappy relationships or
Yeah,
those bad
because it's
habits.
like you're in a relationship for so long, you're like, oh, I don't know, I'll never find someone. I won't, have the same, like, your discomfort and what it is at the moment,
Yeah.
and you don't know what the future holds. So a lot of people fear, and fear holds back so many people from achieving amazing things
Yeah.
because they'd rather stay in that
Yeah. Which is,
Yeah.
discomfort and crap that they're in,
yeah.
and woe is me, and
Yeah.
get that attention
Yeah.
versus actually going, no, I am in control of my destiny, I'm in control of what and who comes into my space,
Yeah.
and I will take this leap of faith.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about how, a lot of people, I think, in society are very much in that socialized reactive mindset where they're constantly looking to the external part of the world to feel fulfilled, to find purpose as if it's something out there that you will eventually come across and find. What was it besides, walking into that tent, like what was, kind of a key moment or key process for you to help you with that shift from, really looking outside the world to help you feel fulfilled, to make that shift to really, I mean, you are creating your own reality now, right? Like all these things
Yeah.
are not just falling on your lap. It's because you've really shifted from that reactive mindset to a creative mindset where your inner game is having an impact on the outer game versus the other way around. So what was kind of a
I think
key
honestly, I
process for you?
had to, we talk about divine intelligence and how the human mind is so limited, right? My path, if you look in hindsight, it looks like a nightmare, but when you look at it, you see the growth and the expansion. I actually had to be sick to to be higher consciousness. I had to, so when I had my illness, I was in and out of the hospital. I was on tons of drugs. They said, we're going to cut out a part of your colon. You're going to be sick for the rest of your life. And that was the first time that I woke up. And I actually cured myself naturally, not only by getting the chemicals out of my house, but by doing a lot of the work with Joe Dispenza, which is largely, I no longer identified as a sick person. I didn't go on the forums. I shifted my awareness to I'm healed, and my character that I live in, my avatar, is healed, and I don't identify as that. And that actually is what healed me. And if I didn't go through that and actually have a higher consciousness awakening, when I went to that tent with Dina, she would have said those things to me, and I would have just been like, she's crazy. So I see the beautiful divine intelligence working there to say, okay, you need this foundation, then you need this. But really, like, even the past couple months doing different psychedelics and being really deep into that world now, um, I live in extreme accountability. I no longer blame other people for the vibrational resonance I'm in. For example, what you guys were just talking about, it's called the reticular activating system. And so the way our brain works is it looks for proof of the past stories over and over.
Yeah.
So if you say to people, red car, look for a red car, you'll see it all the
Yeah.
time. I have one friend who constantly is looking for illness, constantly thinking she's going to be sick, and she's constantly
Mm-hmm.
sick. Or the one girl you see them on TikTok, they'll say, all men are trash. Every man I meet is trash. It's like, well, you're in vibrational resonance
Yeah.
of men that are trash, and you
That's
don't
right.
Yeah.
realize what you're saying. On a metaphysical level, you don't realize what you're actually saying in these videos. And so I've had to sit back and say, okay, on a metaphysical level, my reality is just my past stories and my conditioning projected out. And that's what I've created around me. And now that I know that, if I want to shift this, it starts here. And so I go internal. When someone triggers me, I always think about it's not about them, it's always about me because I don't have to react. So there's something to be learned every time someone triggers you. And so you just stop, you breathe, you go inside and you go, well, what is this story? Is this a childhood thing? What is going on here? Why is this person bothering me? I should just be at peace. And I've had to do that over and over and over. And one of the things that's really cool is when the thoughts come in, because this is really a thoughts game, that's what Eckhart Tolle really teaches, is that we're not really supposed to listen to our thoughts. The mind is the problem. So as each of my thoughts have come in, I have to learn not to energize them. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to let them float by like clouds. And that's something that I work on a daily basis because in the past, when you're in trauma and PTSD, it's just thoughts, 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 thoughts trying to keep you safe. And as the thoughts come in on a daily basis, I look at them, I observe them, and then I let them pass and I don't energize them. And so it's a constant struggle every day to kind of work through that. But what happens and is so beautiful is that the mind starts to get quieter as you
Mm-hmm.
shift to the new person and the new reality, the thoughts of the old Jordan, they start to die out. And so in the beginning, it's chaotic because the ego's going, oh, you say you're this new person. You want to be this new person. And the thoughts go crazy. But as you breathe through them and you don't energize them, you move into a new person and a new identity. And it's really beautiful. But it's extreme accountability and it's work. And most people are distracted by the bread and circuses, the Netflix, the social media. They don't sit with themselves and do this work. And I've been doing that for the past 6 months, and it's been a lot of effort, but really rewarding.
Yeah, and that's the like we are doing, well, especially me,
Well, both of us, yeah.
both of us. Yeah, just living into the work because it is actual work. You can't. I listen to Joe Dispenza as well. I have his meditations, and it's like, okay, people can say meditating doesn't work. This doesn't work. I'm like, well, how many times do you meditate? Once a month? Once every two,
Yeah.
three, once a year. Oh, it didn't work. Well, nothing you put effort into, the amount of effort you put into something is the result you're going to get. So people come in, oh, I did the work. Oh, great. There's a lot more work to be done because
Yeah.
your mind, like we are not taught to process information the way
No.
we do, right?
Yeah, and everything that happens in our external world in a way is a mirroring effect, right, of what's going on inside of us. And so when we talk about doing the work, it's not just listening to a podcast, reading a book, having an aha moment. You actually need to put those things into action, which means you need to create time and space for yourself to do those things that you're talking about, Bella, and you're talking about, Jordan, where you're reflecting, you're journaling, you're meditating, and then you take those things because a lot of the times when you are paying attention to the language that's
Mm-hmm.
going on inside of your mind, that internal dialogue that you actually can't really control.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody listening to try and sit silently and actually not have language and thoughts going through your head. It's just
I think maybe the monks can. I think
yes,
there's
yeah,
definitely some
They're
monks can, but
sleeping.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
For the rest of us who have to interact with society, right? Yes.
Yeah.
That exactly
Yeah.
right, and so you got to be able to put that into practice. That's that inner work, and then when you have those aha moments, or you realize that oh, this emotional trigger that I'm having from this experience, this situation, this person, isn't necessarily because of them. So now it that extreme accountability comes in that you're talking about, where it's like now that inner work has to translate into an outer work now. Right now, I have to take this, and it results in me changing my behavior and doing things. And then, over time, I mean, sometimes those moments can be hugely transformational in that moment, but most of the time, it's consistent. You got to do those things consistently over time, and then there'll be a moment, right? There'll just be a moment that you don't necessarily always know when, but there'll just be a moment. It's almost like when you go to the gym consistently, you don't just wake up day two after day one of going to the gym and see
I wish.
results. It's right, but it is consistently doing that thing, and then one day you'll wake up and you'll realize, oh my god,
My
I
body
notice a
changed.
difference, right?
Yeah.
And it's that same thing. You practice these things, and you wake up one day, and it's like, wow, my life has changed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and also the way you look at the person in the mirror changes. I
Yes.
mean, I had a
Yes.
teacher that said, look at yourself in the mirror in your eyes, hold it for 10 seconds and say I love you over and over. And it gets uncomfortable in the beginning because you're like, wow, that's how much work I still have to do because I feel slightly uncomfortable telling myself that. How am I going to tell the
Yeah.
rest of the world that? And then over time, you start to work at it, and you can't really, the whole saying in psychology, you have to go through. There's no way around it. It's only
Yes.
through, and it's like it really is that. I mean, it'll just bottle up. So like emotions are energy in motion, right? So you feel them coming in and you start to interact with people, and you have to have that moment where you take the deep breath and you go like, okay, wait a minute, what is this really about? This isn't about
Yeah.
this thing that I think it's about, because it's usually not about the thing. It's about something going on in you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to do that over time, but I will say also one of the things I do say is you know, I think long-term therapy, this is one of my more controversial opinions among many. I think long-term therapy is destructive. And I'll tell you why, because I think short-term therapy is very beneficial, and I have been through it. But some of the people that I know that have been in therapy for the longest, they get worse. And the reason they do is because there has to be a period where you release the old identity and you release the old
Yeah.
character and you release the past, right? Because the past is everything's now, just imaginal acts. And if you carry through in the ego the old story and the old identity over and over, you said it's year 2.5, you're still talking about your dad when you were 7, you
Yeah.
start to continue to hold that energy and carry that energy forth. So you go home, then you call your friend and you say, "Oh my God, I went to therapy today and this happened and blah 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 blah," and you're still in it. You
Mm-hmm.
can't release it. So there has to be a period with people where they do release the past, and they forgive themselves and they practice compassion, and they know that when they messed up, it's what they didn't know yet. They were
Yeah.
just a kid. They were a young person without the tools, and release it. And I see a lot of people are still bringing up the patterns. They're still talking about them at brunch with their friends. And unfortunately, on a metaphysical level, the universe is only going to reflect what your inner story is. So if the inner story stays the same, you're going to stay
Mm-hmm.
in vibrational resonance with whatever it is that you think. Lack, men are trash, that example that I
Yeah.
always hear, right? It's the same girls that say that always tell me that their dates didn't go well. But the
Yeah.
girl that says everything's working out for me and I'm really excited about the future, she tends to find a guy much quicker. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because I try to tell people there has to be a point where you sever the relationship with the ego identity and live in the now and
Yeah.
get outside the mind and the thoughts and live in pure source energy. Because
Mm-hmm.
source itself, God, universe, whatever people want to call it, is whole and complete. And that's what we are. We're a fractal of that. So we actually we tell ourselves that we're broken and we'll be okay when we get this thing, and when we get this job we'll
Mm-hmm.
be happy,
Yeah.
but at our core we're complete and whole, and we are love, we are all these
Yeah.
things. So if you sit in that and start from that place, especially the breath. The breath is the connection to the divine. So if you sit with the breath and you kind of recharge, you'll realize that the thoughts get quieter and you kind of have this peace and elation in you that's already innately in you. And I tell people to go there first before they start telling another story and snowballing.
Yeah. And I love that because, like, when we were um, starting to rebrand our business and we were working with our marketing team, they wanted to focus on our breakdown. And, we had our breakthrough. I'm like, no, the breakdown happened. That's fine. But we didn't have to get to the breakdown. And I want to put any energy on the breakdown in our relationship. I want to focus on the breakthrough and how we communicate, how we ask for what we want, what we need, how we show up for each other. When we do mess up, because, emotions, we're all works in progress, step back and then we are able to come back to the conversation. It's like, actually, babe, this wasn't about you. This was actually pulling up some stuff for me from the past, and so I'm now taking back whatever I've put on us.
Yeah, yeah. It's that method, that process of getting complete, right? It's a process of completion. I learned this distinction a long time ago where an example would be, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite sport, Jordan?
Tennis.
Tennis? So it's like if you went to a tennis game and your favorite player is playing and they lose, you're really upset, and the game is over and you're leaving the court, but you're still really upset about it, right? The game is over. It's over, but you are not complete with what happened in the past. And so it's still living with you in the present.
Right.
And so it's that very process you're talking about, whereas you need to take a look at some of your activities that are happening, the things you're doing, as well as the thoughts you're having, and figure out, okay, how do I get to be complete? And sometimes it's just being like, hey, okay, my favorite player lost, and it's just what's so. No meaning making, it's just what's so. It's a thing that happened, and you just need to be complete with it. And then it allows you to be able to move on in a much more powerful place. And going back to what you were saying, Bella, just with our marketing for our business, 1,000%, is there's an energetic shift that occurs when you're focusing on the good things that are happening. It doesn't mean being naive and forgetting. It's just about being complete with stuff that's happened in the past that just opens up the taps, I guess you can say, right, for that positive energy. Otherwise, you continue to take that negative energy and propel it into the future.
And then you're keeping all that stuff inside your body, and that's when sickness happens.
Yeah.
Aches and pains, and
Yeah.
whatever. And we have no more room within ourselves for new opportunities, new possibilities, growth, because we're so stuck in the past, and we're so stuck bringing all of the baggage with us. It's I'm like, shit, people, like, just let some of that shit go. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what? I tell people, like, when we say manifestation, I don't really call it manifesting because everything already exists in infinite realities. You're just shifting your awareness. But there's kind of like three parts to it. And I always tell people, so the second part, I'll just go to the first and the second, but the second part is assume the state of being, assume the new reality, assume the new person you want to become. And then the third part would be to quiet the thoughts that don't allow you to shift to the new person. You're not going to be that. Your mom said this, blah, blah, blah. But the
Yeah.
first part that has to happen before people shift in any way, and I had to do it, is you need nervous system regulation. And there's different modalities for that: breath work, meditation, spinal energetics, Reiki. People do all kinds of things. I had a reactive nervous system. And so if your nervous system is so dysregulated that you're not going to be able to control any of your thoughts, you're not going to be able to hold any new state of being, you can't even get into any shifting or any healing because, when people cut you off in traffic, it's going to remind you of when you were 12. And then you're going to go in a spiral, and your partner says something to you, and you go off, and you're back in anger, and you're in another thought loop. So for me, I had to do several months of breath work and spinal energetics to basically release a lot of the trauma I was holding in my body, in different parts of my body. Like my fascia and my stomach was filled with like all this pain. And I went through that, and then all of a sudden there was like this moment where I was like, wow, is this how people feel on on an everyday like basis? Like you look at a child, right? Children are just filled with this wonder. They don't
Yeah.
think about the unconscious mind. They don't have stories yet. They don't have anything built up. They just go, why can't I do this, Daddy? Why can't I become this? We build it up, right? We build
Yeah.
up the trauma and the stories and the ego over time. And if you don't release it on a physical level, it's really, really difficult to then try to shift mentally into any sort of headspace. So I did some, let's say, wacky stuff, but it was like network spinal was one where these women, I'd sit on my front and they would like tap parts of my body and do this energy healing, which I would have laughed at this stuff a year ago. But like, they're tapping parts of my body and I start to cry. Or like after
Mm-hmm.
one session, I'm laughing in my car for 20 minutes uncontrollably because
Yeah.
they're releasing all this stuff. And so I
Mm-hmm.
tell people when they're like, I want to change my life, I want to, bring this into my reality. I'm like, start with the nervous system regulation,
Mm-hmm.
dedicate the first 2 to 3 months to that, and then you'll be able to bring heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to a women's festival and I had a Raymer massage.
Reiki? Oh,
No, it's
Raymer. Oh, I never heard of
Raymer,
that.
something rhyme, something like that, where they use different modalities. So yes, they use their hands, but they also do Reiki. They also move energies. And there was a moment, it was maybe 5 minutes in, and the way she pushed and she held the tension, she whispered in my ear, she's like, don't hold on to all this pain, Bella. It's okay to let this pain go. And for a solid hour, I cried like the ugly snot. Like I just needed. She gave me permission to let go and to let go and to let go. And there was parts of my body. She said, I was like, I turned on my back. I'm like, please, someone help me. Like, give me some clearance or whatever. I just could not. But I've released so much pain that I was carrying within my body because we hold on to those memories. We hold on to things that happened to us. It's like there's no need to carry that with us anymore. It is not happening. It happened. I acknowledged it through moving through it, and that's the key, is moving through that energy, not suppressing.
Yeah.
When something happens at the moment, feel the feels. If you're angry, feel that anger and then let it go. It's done, because
Yeah.
those are normal. Like, we need to feel all of our emotions. When we suppress any emotion, that's when it gets stored in our bodies.
Right, because we tend to think that when we feel something, we need to act on it.
Yeah.
So just because you feel anger, you can separate
Yes.
the emotion of anger and the action of anger. Those are two different things.
Yes.
And so you can allow your body to feel it and then let it go, and yet not act on it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, an important distinction. And I love, Jordan, you saying about the physical part, because again, I don't know if it's just like I want to say we don't remember, or we tend to forget, but it's just we're not really taught that our psychology and our physiology are just so connected. And as much as you can use your psychology to kind of come over certain things with your physiology and vice versa, we also tend to think that memories are just stored up here, and that's not true. Memories are also stored in our body. Right.
Yeah.
And so to do that work that you're talking about, like on your nervous system, and be able to let go of the whatever it is, the trauma, the negative energies, the things that are stored in there, is also a huge component. It's not just journaling and meditating and things like that. It's finding some, modality that works for you.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who is not getting the results that they want in life, they're unhappy with some aspect, and when you hear these types of different approaches you can take, that immediate thought that you might have where it's like, oh, that's crazy, or that doesn't work, or whatever, that is your ego again, right? That is your current identity that's giving you those results that you don't want in life, not wanting to be let go, right? And it's trying to convince you that all these other things that may actually give you transformational results in life is trying to trick you into saying, don't do it. Right? So it's
Yeah.
really a fixed mindset. The growth
It's also
mindset
social
is
conditioning,
Yeah.
right?
a
It's not
thousand
just your
percent.
fault, like I grew up with two parents that were doctors. I was in the the medical industrial complex, let's call it. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to laugh at every homeopathic alternative medicine person that existed because
Mm-hmm.
you know, there tends to be doctors, I will say, they're pompous usually, and they have ego defenses that are very intense. They glom
Mm-hmm.
onto their credentialism quite
Mm-hmm.
heavily, and I really do credit my mom, when she saw what I went through and some of the people she's helped. She's a family doctor her whole life, and she was able to open her mind to thinking like, this stuff might work if you're in an emergency or, you have a catastrophic incident and you have to go to the ER. But also, these things might work too.
Mm-hmm.
And these things might address the cause of why you ended up in the ER. And so much of what medicine nowadays is take this pill. And, with my illness, I went to 7 to 8 doctors over my lifetime. None of them ever asked me what I ate. None of them ever asked me about my stress levels. None of them
Mm-hmm.
asked me about my trauma. It was just try this pill,
Yeah.
do this, go here. It was drug dealing, is essentially what it
Mm-hmm.
was. And one of them told me that when I was in a flare-up of my disease to eat white Wonder bread. I mean, this is the kind of people that are helping people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so, I had to kind of go through all that, talk about like divine intervention and timing. I had to go through a process of kind of releasing my own social conditioning about
Yeah.
everything, about the government, about politics, about people, and be okay with not being right and be okay about being wrong about a lot. And sometimes when I talk to people who are in the medical profession who hear about my story, they don't usually, a couple of them will, but most often it's, oh, you got lucky or that last drug you took must have worked. And
Mm-hmm.
it's immediately they're protesting any new
Yeah.
ideas coming in. And if you're there, it's really you're gonna get in a bad place in life because you're not gonna be open to spinal energetics, metaphysics, alignment, visualization, things that have been shown to work. You're not going to be open to that, and you're going to really hold on to your ego. And unfortunately, that's a lot of people in the medical establishment. So a lot of this is honestly just being okay with being wrong and being okay with being growing up in a world where you're taught this is the way and do this and that and
Mm-hmm.
this politician and this drug or whatever it is, and
Right.
having a process of unraveling that slowly and saying, well, wait a minute, could I be wrong about this? Could I have been taught different things? And I had to learn that I was wrong about a lot. And I credit my mom because she was a fantastic family physician her whole life, but now she's so open-minded to like herbs and supplements and alternative
Mm-hmm.
healing and stuff like that. The quackery that we're taught was
Well,
the
yeah.
crazy stuff. And now I'll tell you now, when I have a bacterial infection, I take oil of oregano. I don't go to the
Yeah.
doctors and it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do have a lot of home remedies as well. I'm like, I was struggling to find my inner witch because, I was suppressing. I am like the white witch.
Yeah, you do
It's
have
been
witchy
suppressing. So
tendencies,
it's
yeah.
like, um, my biggest struggle was I was raised as a strong, independent woman, business, hustle, you know, compete with the men, be in my masculine energy for a long time. And as I got older, my feminine started screaming a little bit more. My health started deteriorating. I just wasn't feeling aligned. And I'm like, why? And then I started exploring. Then COVID hit, and I started exploring my witchiness. I took my yoga training. I did breath work. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I do tuning forks. So then I went all the way to the other side, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, I can't be business. I need to be this witchy witch, right? Because society says you can be only one thing,
Yeah,
Right.
society
And you're
puts us
everything.
right?
constant.
You're the
I'm
universe. You're all
everything,
everything.
yes.
Yeah.
So I had to marry and go through like a transformation and the power of and.
Instead of
I
either or.
am a businesswoman and I'm a witch. I was
Well, you're
like
also
a healing woman, like
you're
a bit
every
like a healer. Yes.
but you're everything. You're
Yes.
you're 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 connected to the universe. You're a
Yeah.
fractal of God. So
Yeah.
you are everything. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes when we gotta watch ourselves getting into a new identity, right? Because
Yeah.
I started getting into, well, now I'm a great songwriter. Now I'm no longer
Yeah.
this. And it's like, well, no, you're connected to
Yeah, no, you're all,
everything.
yeah.
You're all
Yeah.
things. And we constantly, our ego constantly wants to latch on to a new
Yeah.
identity. And then you immediately, you can't expand because you're in a new hole. You're in a new constricted area that you're in. So
Yeah.
I think it's like the comfort of knowing I'm this, I'm that, I'm everything, and just letting it
Mm-hmm.
flow through you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because yeah, when we think about identities, we think them about as if they're a singularity,
Mm-hmm.
right? But really, identity is more than just who we believe ourselves to be. It's also who others believe us to be. And so, who I am to me is different than who I am to my wife. Who I am as an identity is different for me than what it is for my children, for my friends, for you, Jordan, right? And so, if all of these different identities can coexist in parallel of each other,
Mm-hmm.
then I can be anything,
Yeah.
right? Because, like I said, then I am everything.
Yeah.
And it's really just letting go of those constraints and limitations that get put on us from, I mean, as soon as we're able to understand language, that's really when a lot of constraints and limitations get put on
Mm-hmm.
us. And we have to kind of unlearn that so we can step into the world of possibilities
Mm-hmm.
and say, I can create anything,
Yeah.
right?
And I
Because,
can change. And it's the power of and.
yeah,
I am this and that and that.
yeah.
So,
So, Jordan, if these conversations really light me up, the light bulb I could tell light you up. We could probably go on for a really, really long time talking more about this. I do have one more question. So, music is this new venture for you. It's also been seems like it's very connected to this new path that you're on, this new growth that you're on. How is like all these things that we've been talking about, does that come in to your music, and it gets expressed outwards through your music? And
Yeah,
and
I
what
mean,
is that? Talk to us about
I
that.
I touch on that, but I think what I'm coming to from all of this is I do want to continue to grow and I want to go tour. And I already saw it when I was doing DMT. I saw it in the other reality. So I've just been kind of connecting to it. And
Mm,
on a spiritual level, I understand everything exists in other realities. So I've just been sort of working on my thoughts and working on trying to heal, but not being healing forever, healing mode forever, and shifting to
mm-hmm.
this reality. But really, true happiness comes from service. And so, I like making music for people. I like when they can connect with it. I like the stories that they tell me, how this song means this to me, even if it's different than what I wrote it as, but they find a double
hmm
meaning in it. But my larger goal and from all of this is trying to take everything that happened to me in life and trying to spin it into gold.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's not just about making music. From this, I want to be able to also help people raise their consciousness, help them manifest, help them realize how powerful they are. And thirdly, the merch or the side business that I want to do with all this is products that helped me heal my physical illness.
hmm
So I don't want to have a concert where some poor kid with ulcerative colitis puts on a microplastic hoodie and gets worse.
Right.
I want to sell products that help people heal. So it would be the first concert you'd go to where we'd be selling shower filters, where we'd be selling organic cotton hoodies.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be selling things, fragrances that don't disrupt your hormones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the larger picture of all this is just, yes, I love music and that's my highest purpose and that's what I want to do. But it has to be for something bigger. It has to
Mm,
be, let me take what happened to me and let me teach people how to not make those mistakes in their life through podcast appearances and talking and stuff like that. And then through the merch, heal them physically. And then
Mm-hmm.
through the music, connect. And I think it's really beautiful right now because the consciousness of the planet is raising, and a lot of people
mhm,
are feeling largely empowered. And I feel like it's all lined up perfectly. If I tried to do this when I was 25, I would have messed it up. I would have probably got a cocaine addiction and threw
Mm-hmm.
it all away. But I'm at this perfect point now where you can see why it had to help happen now. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing the podcast rounds, just kind of teaching people about metaphysics and how powerful they are and how they don't have to live in victimhood. And then at
Yeah.
the same time, I've been kind of like working on the side besides the music to try to visualize this brand that I want to build. And I don't want it to be like any other supplement brand out there. I want there to be a point to it, and it has to have a
Mm-hmm.
story tied to it. And so that's what I've kind of said to kind of my team that I've been working with is kind of, this is the kind of products that we're going to sell. And we're going to help people get out of what I was in, the pain I was in. And I don't want
Yeah.
someone who's, I go on these forums, these people that have the disease that I had, and they're in a victimhood mentality and they
Hmm.
have tried many drugs and they're on the wheel. And I don't mean to blame them. I was on that wheel for a long time. But until you understand how consciousness works and theta brain states and visualization and shifting, um, you're not going to move from where you are. You're going to constantly identify as a sick person. And so I want to help people, you know, think of it like you just arrived on Earth, you don't have a past and you don't have a future and you're starting fresh and you breathe and you start from a new moment and
Mm-hmm.
start there and grow from there. And that's what I've been helping people in my personal life and doing kind of the podcast rounds and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
really do feel like I want to help people. I know that sounds so cliche, but like, yeah, I could make a bunch of music and buy a bunch of Ferraris, but I'll just feel empty inside.
Yeah.
So
So
that's the larger purpose of making my life mean something.
I just want to, say that you saying that you really want to help people. That's not cliche at all. I think there needs to be more and more human beings in the world that are in service of other human beings. And the one word that kind of strikes me, like that I'm seeing in my mind when you're talking about everything that you're up to, is community. It's not just about doing something for yourself. It's just not about making music so you can have, fame and fortune and
Mm-hmm.
those types of things. It's really about creating community, because when we talk about achieving a higher level of consciousness, it's two things. One is there are more avenues to be like more communities to be able to get into now to help you, give you those tools and modalities to get to that higher level of consciousness, which is great. And so we need more community builders that have that in mind, because the second thing is there's different levels of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just achieving one level of transcendence and then you've arrived and you're
Yeah.
done. And that's what happens a lot is people get into a community because they've suffered enough that they feel there's no other way out. They're going to just try something. They get into a community that helps them have that transformation, and because things shift in their mind and also out in the external world, they're like, oh, life is good.
I'm done.
And I'm done. And they exit that community. And then by the time they realize that their results and their performance in life has plateaued, you don't realize it until it already starts to decline, because you constantly need to be moving through, right?
Yeah.
Once you move through something and you end up on the other side, there'll be another thing you need to move through, right? And you
Yeah.
won't know what that is until you move through the first thing. And so it's great that you're building that type of community, because then we'll get to a point where no matter where you turn, there are going to be people around you and communities around you that you can engage with, right, in multiple different ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love that you're doing that, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, on that note,
where can
people find you.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Jordan J. Power on Instagram. I also have a TikTok now that someone's running for me, but I don't really, I don't know much about it. I just send videos. It's Jordan J. Power on TikTok. And also, if you want to listen to my music, it's Jordan Power on all platforms. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal. I don't know. There's like 30 of them now that I get streaming income from that I've never heard of, but like
Yeah.
Deezer has like, I don't know, 10 million people using it every month. It's
Yeah.
like
Right
Well,
on.
crazy.
yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
when's the first concert?
I don't know. I mean, it's only been a year, but I right now I'm in building mode. I'm in promotional mode, but I'm also
Yeah.
I'm a busy person. I mean, I run a marketing firm during the
Yeah.
week. And then I also make music, and then you're in the promotional side of it now. For the first year of making
Yeah.
music, I was just having fun, and honestly, I kind of missed that when I wasn't having to like sell it
Run things.
because I've
Yeah.
never been like a salesy person with things.
Yeah.
I think the products usually sell themselves. So we'll see. I mean, it's things are really starting to pick up, and I also think on a metaphysical level, the answer to your question is when I can hold the space for that, when I can be the container for that, when I
Well, let us
think that
know.
I'm ready,
Yeah.
I will
Send us a
absolutely let you
couple of
know.
tickets. We'll
100%.
be out there first,
Absolutely.
front row to
VIP.
center.
I promise it won't be nosebleed seats. So I'm
Right.
getting close.
Amazing.
So, okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and chat with us, share all your wisdom and your creative mind. Until next time.
Yeah. Take
Thank you.
care. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights to elevate your life and business.
If you found value in our conversation, spread the love. Share this episode with family and friends, and let's grow this supportive community together.
And don't forget to like and follow us so we can reach more amazing people just like you.
Until next time, remember, let's not sugarcoat it. Keep it real, raw, and unfiltered.